Choose a straight video. Hey gang, Jamie Aston. In late October, I was contacted by Stanley-pmi for my video featuring the Stanley Adventure cooler, 16 quart. And they really appreciate this video, they liked it, and they want to send me some promotional items, which I made a video on. Now, just so you all know, I use this 16 quart cooler probably once a week at least. Made a video where I made these rod holders for it. I even have this tackle tape on there so I can measure a fish and things like that. And of course, I love the bungee on the top of this cooler. So anywho, they like that cooler, and some of the promotional items they sent me was the Stanley Adventure 30 quart cooler. Now, first of all, like I said, this is the Stanley Adventure cooler, Adventure series. It's 30 quarts, 28.3 liters if you are more on that side. It says it had 36% more foam than traditional coolers, and the foam is in the lid and the body, just like the 16 quart cooler. Has a 40 can capacity, and that's 40 cans, I assume, with 12 ounce cans, and whatever your beverage of choice would be. It is tall enough for long necks and standard 2 liters. So I'll demonstrate that in just a moment with a bottle of wine. I don't usually have 2 liter sodas. And probably what some of you are more interested in is how long does it keep contents cold. It says ProGrade 4 days. 4 days on keeping items cold. And just like the 16 quart cooler, this cooler has a lifetime warranty. That's really cool, you know. That's one of the things I really loved about the 16 quart cooler, was a bungee on the top of it and the lifetime warranty. Has a leak proof drain plug. It's been tested, definitely leak proof. So let's talk about this cooler. We're not going to review it. As you all know, this cooler is not released to the public. It's a 2016 model, so we're just going to do an overview over it. It's still a promotional sample. There are things that could change. So we're going to talk about it, kind of get you pumped up on it. And later on, after it's released, if nothing's really changed, I might go into more personal review on it. But I'm going to talk about my personal experiences now with it. First of all, I do like these handles on the side. They are very, very strong. Very strong. This is a 30 quart cooler versus the 16 quart. Okay? When we talk about some of the things I was kind of criticized on when I did an overview of this cooler, I was talking about the handle. I was concerned that maybe the handle wouldn't last. I was concerned with the hinges just being by their design, kind of not built all the way through, riveted together on the cooler, and then just have this little pin going through it like that. I was kind of worried, but so far I have had zero issues with it. So, a lot of times when I look at reviews and I even look at things myself, I start making giving criticism on a feature that I haven't even tested or used it yet, but I'm concerned. And it's probably based on some type of past history of a design that looked like that and failed on me, so I will give credit to that. But in this case, sometimes you need to trust the engineers at that company. Maybe they did do some testing on it and they found out that that design does work. So in my case, that design has worked. This cooler does not, the 30 quart cooler does not have that hinge design. They actually go through, they have a hinge going through the back of the cooler. so it's probably just a straight hinge. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure, but I assume it might be a straight long one, or it could just be just one that goes in a couple of inches onto each side. Not sure, but you know, I'm gonna trust that design. We still have this seal. You have a seal on the cooler. You have a lock hook. You can use a padlock to keep this cooler locked down. One of the things on the top that does not have, like the 16-quart cooler, is the bungee. So you're not going to be strapping anything down on top of it, but it does have this slot right here, which to me serves for two purposes. Number one, if you have this cooler outside and water gets on it, the water can roll off. It doesn't collect on the lid. Number two, when you're strapping it down onto something, you have some bungee. You can use a bungee to go through the handle and strap it down to whatever vehicle or platform that you need to strap this cooler down to. The hinge design on the 16-quart cooler and the 7-quart cooler, which I don't have yet, is the same on this 30-quart cooler. Press down the lid, snap it down, you're good to go. Unhook it. There you go. I have not had any issue with using the hinge on either cooler. It's been very nice. It's never busted on me. I've never had anything to leak out. It's a 30-quart cooler again. I keep saying that for a reason. I'm gonna go into that in detail. But there's the ball of wine inside of it. And the 2-liter fits just as well. I did test it one day when I had the 2-liter. So you can fit a 2-liter or any other long bottle inside this cooler with your ice and things, and it fits. I've seen some reviews when it came to the 16-quart cooler where there was a person saying, "Oh, I can't fill a bottle of beer or something in the cooler standing up." Well, with the 30-quart cooler you can. Finally, we have this drain plug. We look inside of it. You can see a little notch right here. Let's get just a little light on it. That notch allows for this cooler to drain. In my testing, it drained just about all of the water. And when I say just about all, I mean there was probably a small collection. So we're going to say 95% or so of the water. The reason why I say 95%, we're going to talk about another cooler that I reviewed, gave an overview on, and it did do better, but that was by design. This notch is only notched at the very end of it. I can't really tell if the bottom of the cooler has a slight grade to it. And that cooler I'm talking about that does is the Pelican 35 quart that I have. And by design, it drains, I would say, 99% of the water. 99%. Now we're talking about a small percent of water that's pretty much a collection of a small puddle of water that really wouldn't harm anything, but you know, that's really cool. What the big thing what I'm trying to get down to is that with this cooler, if you open this drain plug, you're not going to have to go to it and eventually tip it out like that. You don't have to pick it up at all to drain the water. If you're going to drain the water, it drains the water. You're only left with in the same percent, give or two, as a Pelican 35 quart. I've seen coolers in the past where you take the drain off and you're at the end of it, but since the drain isn't at the bottom of the cooler, you have this collection of water, maybe half an inch, maybe an inch of water, that depending on how the cooler is designed, lengthwise or anything like that, that's a lot of water. You could have ounces and ounces of water, almost a gallon, depending on the cooler, that you're going to have to eventually tip over to dump out. With this cooler, you're not going to have that at all. You know, you wouldn't even, I don't think I had an ounce of water left over. So that's how much water we're talking, okay? Don't calculate those percentages. I'm not correct. Going into the criticism when I talked about the other cooler, the 16 quart, we looked at the, I said, you know, man, I don't really like multi-design, multi-part design. So we have, you know, it's two-tone is nice, but at the same time, where they have the green and the gray, there's a separation. So that's where the foam is in between the gray and the green. So, and the separation is on the outside, so you don't have to worry about any of the contents being able to breach the seal. I have no complaints with this cooler. I really like this cooler. Really like this cooler. You see what I'm doing? Pay attention. See what I'm doing? These handles on the side, carrying 30 quarts. Wow. So what I'm going to do, we got the overview out of the way, we're going to make a part 2. So check out, stay tuned, look for part 2 if you came to the part 1, just the overview of this cooler. Part 2, we're going to compare it to the Pelican 35 quart cooler. Take care.